can cook a whole chicken, you can cook a whole roast duck. It's very simple to do, and I'm going to show you step by step. I'm also going to show you a really delicious accompaniment with this. This is my pumpkin jam, and it's full of lovely spices. This recipe always reminds me of Christmas. Now, a pumpkin jam sounds slightly peculiar, but it works nicely because it's really sweet. Now, to get as much flavour in this as possible, I like to macerate the pumpkin in the spices and the sugar to start with before I cook it. We'll pop that into a pot. And I keep the seeds. Now, there's natural pectin in these seeds, just like there's pectin in seeds of oranges and lemons. And this is going to help the jam be slightly jelly and glossy. So in they go. And for the spices, allspice, about a teaspoon, along with 1 stick of cinnamon, I'll just break up, and ginger. I love ginger and pumpkin together. So I'm going to cut this into 3 or 4 slices. That can go in, along with some orange. Now I want the zest and juice of 1 orange. And you can see why it always reminds me of Christmas. All these flavours of cinnamon, allspice, ginger, pumpkin, just divine. All right, now I'm going to cut this in half. And then we'll squeeze out as much of that juice as possible. Now, a jam's not a jam without sugar, so 2 cups of caster sugar. And then I like to get my hands in and just give that good mix. Squeeze it slightly just to extract some of the juices. Now I'm going to let this sit here for about 1 hour. If you like, you can do this overnight and it'll have more of an intense flavour. While this is sitting, I've also removed my duck from the fridge. Really important to do this because it needs to come to room temperature so it cooks nice and evenly. Okay, this duck is at room temperature. I've taken it out of the pack and I've placed it in a rack. Now, the general rule when you're cooking duck, it should take 40 minutes per kilo. So this duck is 2 kilos, going to take 1 hour and 20 minutes to cook. I've preheated my oven at 190 degrees. I'll also season it quite generously with some salt, no pepper required, and no oil required at all. Now, halfway through the cooking process, I'm also going to add some spud lights. These gorgeous baby potatoes are going to take about 40 minutes to cook. Now, because a lot of the duck fat's going to render at the base of this tray, it's going to give these potatoes a lovely flavour. So I'll add them halfway through. Now, while that's cooking, let's get on to this pumpkin jam. Look how much of that moisture has come out of that pumpkin. Just perfect. So on with the heat. This is going to take about 30 to 40 minutes to break down and soften up. I'll also add just a small amount of water, and then I'll stir this about 3 or 4 times throughout the cooking process just so it doesn't stick, because don't forget there's sugar in there, and also the pumpkin does stick because it naturally is sweet too. How great does this duck look? It's perfectly crispy on the top. I've allowed it to rest, and I don't cover it because I want this skin to stay super crispy. It will retain its heat if it rests for 20 minutes like this. So I'll just grab the duck and we'll pop that on the plate, and those potatoes that I added halfway throughout the cooking process are golden brown. Now I'm just going to take this rack out to show you how perfect they are. Look how gorgeous they are. And then I like to just place these around the plate. And I know some of you won't like to hear this, but I'm not serving this with gravy because I'm serving it with that pumpkin jam. And I think it's perfectly fine with that. If you did want gravy, however, look at all these pan juices. Just drain away some of the fat, add a little bit of wine and some stock, and then you'll have your gravy ready to go. Okay, the pumpkin jam, this is completely cooked down. Look how soft and sticky. It's really glossy and it smells fantastic because of all of those spices. If you wanted, you could double this batch and place it into some sterilised jars and keep it in the fridge. You can serve it in a savoury context just like this, but it also works really nicely on some scones, so it's super versatile. And if there's a few little chunks of that ginger, by all means leave it in. I love the taste of it. serve that on the side. And because I'm sticking to a Christmas theme here, I stole a sprig of bay leaf from my neighbours. Look how fresh they are. Giving them a wash. That is the perfect garnish for this festive roast duck and pumpkin jam.